To another Flutter tutorial video. In this video, let's keep building our rental car app. For today, we'll learn how to add forms in Flutter. So for that, let's create a new page that allows a user to register payment cards inside of our application. By the end of this video, you will not only know how to implement forms in Flutter, but also how to make them robust, user-friendly, and production-ready. So to get started, let's create a new file inside of this page folder, and you can name this register payment card page.dart. So come right here, new file. So register underscore payment underscore card underscore page.dart. So to be able to work with forms in Flutter, we need to create a stateful widget. This is because forms internally need to manage their own state. So for that, type STL and select the option to work with stateful widget. So change your name right here to be register payment card page. And here, let's create a page for this widget. So called the scaffolding widget. We need to provide the body property and also the app bar property. So we can come right here inside of this category page. Let's copy these two properties right here for the body and also for the app bar. And let's paste it right here and apply the necessary changes. So for the title of this page, this will be register page or register card. And then for the body, let's delete everything. So now right here for the body property, I will call a safe area. And then as a child, I will call a container widget. Here let's provide the padding called constant agiliset.all with a value of 16 for padding. Then we can also add some alignment called the alignment enum with a value of center. And then for the child, to be able to work with forms, we need this widget right here, the form widget. This form widget will act as a container to wrap all the input fields that we'll use inside of this page. So right here, to work with form, we also need a key. This needs to be uniquely, and this will allow us to identify this form and also to add or manage its state by calling the key. So for that, we need to define right here final, make this one private and call this form key. This will be equal to the global key. And here you need to constrain this global key to be the FormState class. So now copy and assign to this key right here. And then you can see right here, this form will expect just a child. So right here, you can use a column widget or a list view widget. So let's use a column widget called the children property. And then inside of this children property is where we'll place our widget for this input field. So for this one, we'll use the TextFormField. So for this video, we'll just learn how to work with this widget and how to create our form. In the next one, we'll focus on applying validation to it. So right here, we have this property right here, decoration. This will allow us to apply decoration to our input field. So for the decoration, we can have properties like label text. This will be the string. For this one, let's say card holder name. Give it a comma. We can also add icons to it. Let's use a suffix icon called the icon widget. And then let's use icons.person. Give it a comma. We also have this property right here, fill color. Let's use colors.black. And then for the border, you can use this class right here, outline input border. After this decoration, we have this property right here, onSafe. This will expect a new value. And here you can provide a new value using arrow function or the anonymous function. We also had this property, like I said, validator. This will validate the value that the user enters right here. And inside of it is where you will provide the validation to it. So besides of this property, we also have this property right here, the floating label alignment. This will take the floating label alignment, and you can provide the value right here as star or center. Let's use center. So now with all these properties, we also have this property right here, this initial value. This is the value that you want to display initially to the user. So you can leave right here as an empty string for now. We also have the hint text right here. For the hint text, this will take a string, and let's say name on card. So now let's call our page when the user click on this floating action button. So for that, let's go to payment method page, and here let's call the navigator, call the push method. Here you provide the context and the material page route, and here for the builder you can use an arrow function to call our register page. So add a semicolon right here. So save everything. So now when you click on this page, you can see we have our first input field right here. So when you click on it, you'll see the label will be center. This is because we are using this floating alignment enum with the value of center right here. We see this suffix icon. We also have prefix icon right here. So we change right here to be prefix icon. Now we change right here the direction. So let's leave as a suffix icon. So now what I like to do is add right here a constant size box widget. Let's call right here the height property. The value will be 20. Add a comma right here. Let's copy this one and paste it right here. So add a comma here, paste it. So for the remaining input fields, we can just copy this one and paste it, and then let's apply some change to it. So come right here, paste it here. So now when you save, so right here the first one will be name on card, the second one will be card number, and then we can have both right here for the security code and the expiration date. So copy one more time right here, paste it, and then select these two widgets right here. So let's minimize it. Come right here, select these two widgets, and then wrap it with a row widget. After that, you can have to come right here, click on it, and then wrap with an expanded widget. Let's do the same thing for this one. Wrap with an expanded widget. You can come right here, constant size box widget, add a comma right here, and then now call the weight property, and the value will be 20. So now let's format everything. So now save. So now we have all these input fields. So now let's apply some change to it. So the first one will be the card holder name, the second one will be card number. And then for this one, for the label, this will be CVV. Let's call this CVV code. And then for this one, this will be expiration date. And for the hint, this will be 2 for the month slash 2 values for the year. So now save everything. Let's also change the icons right here. So right here for the card number, you can use right here the credit card widget. And then for the CV, you can call right here the security widget. And then for the expiration, you can call calendar underscore month. So now save everything. So now right here, if you want to constrain the size for each input field, you can come right here and call the max length property. Max length. Let's say for this one is the CV code, the value will be 3. So save. You can see right here, we'll see this text widget right here. If you want to remove this text widget, you can come right here inside of the decoration. And you can call the counter text. And you provide an empty string right here. And this will remove it. So now let's apply everything for the same one. So the expiration date, this size will be 5. So come right here, paste it, and then the size will be 5. So come right here, counter text, empty string, and then for the card number, the value will be 16. And then for the name on the card, we'll leave as it is. So now if you want to use border, you can come right here. Instead of using this outline border, you can come here. You call the input border and then provide the value as none. And this will remove the border for this text input field. So what I like to do is come right here, select the option to wrap with a container widget. So I can use a margin right here. I can use edge set symmetric and then call horizontally. I want the margin to be 16. And then call decoration property. You can call the box decoration. So here let's use the color property. You can use color class dot from RGBO method. So right here, the value will be 245. For the green, this will also be 245. The same value for the blue. And then for the opacity, this will be 1. And then you can call the border radius. You can use border radius dot circular with the value of 8. So now save. We can also use padding. So come right here, agility set dot all, and the padding will be 8.0. So make this one a constant, and this one also a constant. So save. Let's change the value right here to be 8. So let's do the same thing. So come right here, wrap with a container widget. So then copy all these properties and assign to this container widget right here. Let's do the same thing for this text form field right here. Copy and wrap with a container and then paste the properties. Same thing here. So now let's remove the border. So come right here, input border with the value of none. So then copy and replace for the remaining input fields right here. So now save everything. So now let's center this form field. So you can come right here, call the main X alignment with the value of center. This will center our form field. So let's come right here and let's define a background color. So you can come right here, use colors, and let's say white. Save everything. So now the next step is to add a submit button. So for that, after this body property, call this bottom navigation bar. This will take a safe area widget. And then for the child, let's call a container widget. Let's call the margin and then use agility set dot symmetric. And then horizontally, I want the margin to be 16. And then for the child, call an elevated button. So right here we need to provide a child. This can be a constant text widget. And then for the text, let's say register. Here for the onPress, we'll call our form key and submit our form. So let's apply some styles to this button. So come right here, call this elevated button class. Dot, call this static style from method. So here you provide the background color. Let's use colors.black. And then for the foreground color, let's use colors.white. So right here, we need to add a property style. So now save everything. Let's also change the shape right here. Call right this rectangular border. And also let's call a border radius inside of it. And let's use border radius.circular with the value of 8. So now right here, you can do a if condition. So now you can call the form key dot, you call the current state, add a question mark to make sure this is not null, and then you can call the validate. So right here, this will check if this form is valid or not. You can come right here. If this is not null, you can do question mark and provide false as the value right here. So if this is null, we don't want to submit this form. So then if this is valid, meaning the validator is run from all these input fields and get the information. So now to save the data, you can call right here the form key again, dot current state, do a question mark and then do dot and call the save method. This save method will call this onSave method from each input field inside of your form and get the input field value. So after that, you can call your web service right here and submit your form. So then let's give a notification to the user. So for that, let's use the scaffolding messenger. Right here, you provide the context and then you call this show snack bar. This will take a new snack bar widget. And then for the text, we can use right here. For the content, you can use a text widget. And let's say card successfully register. And then after you show the notification, we don't want the user to resubmit our form. For that, let's call right here the form key again. Again, do the same thing, call the context, question mark, dot, and now we call the reset. This will allow us to reset our form to initial value. So now save everything. So now, if you want to, you can come right here and let extract a method for each input field right here. Let's say add card name field. Then you can come on this one, make a private, add card number field. Then let's extract this row right here. Add card expiration and CCV code field. So save everything. Now we need user to select which type of the card it will insert right here. So for that, we have this widget right here. So first of all, let's add a row widget. Let's define right here the main X alignment, call the main X alignment dot space between, then call the children property. So inside of this children property, we'll have two expanded widget. So come right here, call an expanded widget. And this one, this will be a child text widget. And then for this text, it will be select type. I actually card type. Give it a comma and then a constant size box widget called the width property. Let's say 20. Give it a comma, another expanded widget. And now for the child, this will be drop down button form field. So here we need to provide the items and also the unchanged callback. So here we need to constrain our drop down form field, so called the payment type right here. This will give us the access to our enum. And then inside of this one, we'll call our payment type dot value and do a mapping. So come right here, call the payment type dot values dot call the map function. So right here we'll do a mapping for each value inside of this widget right here. So come right here and do a to list on it. So right here we need to provide the payment type as an argument and then return a widget right here. So you can define right here the payment type and you can call this card. And here we need to return and then you call drop down menu item. So for the drop down menu for the value, you can provide the card. And then for the child, we can call a text widget. And then for the value, we can call the payment card type dot call our mapping object. And here you provide the card as an argument. So make sure you add exclamation mark so we don't get an exception. Add a comma right here. This one is a semicolon. So now for the unchange, we'll provide the value. And then you call an anonymous function to update the value of this enum. So now if you save everything, you will see we have this drop down menu right here. So you can apply some customization to this drop down menu. So you can come right here and then select the option to wrap with a container widget. And here let's apply the same properties as we did with the other input form fields. So call the padding, call the edge set dot symmetric, and then horizontally the value will be 16. Then we can call the decoration property, call the box decoration. For the border radius, let's use border radius dot circular with a value of 8. And then for the color, we can copy the same properties that we defined right here for the color. So copy this property right here and just paste it here. So save everything. We can also customize furthermore this drop down field. So besides of this item, we can have right here border radius. Let's use border radius dot 0. We can also add an icon to it called icon widget. And here you can use icons dot call the keyboard underscore arrow down. Let's apply some styles. You can define a text style right here. And then for the color, let's use colors.black. And then you can change the icon enable color. Let's use also colors.black. And then call the decoration, call a constant, call the input decoration, and then for the border, let's use importer border with the value of none. So now save everything. So here you can see the values. We can also define a hint text. So come right here, call the hint. And this will take a constant text widget. And for the text, let's say select type. So save everything. So now let's reset everything. So get started. Let's open our register page. You can see right here, the default label is select type. And here we have our options. Notice we have right here Visa card, credit card, and gift card. This is because we created inside of this model on payment type, we created this mapping between the payment type enum and a string. So this is it for this video. If you want to learn more about forms in Flutter, you can click on the card that's in the screen. This is a playlist where we teach you from basic to advanced concepts about forms in Flutter. This is it for this video. In the next video, let's learn how we can add validation to our form. This is it. See you on the next one.